Today's episode of the Riderflex podcast is sponsored by our friends at Mortal Kombucha. Handcrafted in small batches, Mortal Kombucha is bubbly smooth, super refreshing, and absolutely energizing. A revitalized kombucha energy drink ramped up with some awesome. Visit them at mortalkombucha.com. And on today's episode of the Riderflex podcast, I want to talk to you about the most common basic question in the job interview. And it's also the one that most people screw up. I am completely amazed at how often people can't answer the basic question, tell me about yourself. Now, first, let's talk about why the job interviewer asks you that question. Here's the real reason they ask you that, right? They want to see how you open, right? What's your presence and personality and style? They just want to get a feel for you real quick in the beginning. And it's a great open-ended question to see how you communicate verbally, etc. The other reason they ask the question is because they're hoping you'll give them something that they can't ask about. Yeah, believe it or not, they want to know you as a person too, right? It would be great if they were interviewing a robot, but they're not. They're interviewing a human being. So they do want to know something about you personally. And they're so restricted with all of the human resource rules that they can't ask you certain questions. So trust me, they're hoping you're going to share something about yourself personally. That's why they ask the question, right? When they say, tell me about yourself, they really want to know about you, the person, along with your skill sets and your experience in the job market. So I'm always complaining about this. I've done several episodes on this topic. I'm always talking to you about how often people screw it up. So now what I want to do here is I want to give you an example, right? Let's pretend like you're interviewing me. I'm going to answer the question, tell me about yourself. Here is a great example. You can follow it. Now, by the way, you could give a million examples. In fact, some people will probably debate my example and maybe they have a better one. By the way, if they do have a better one, they can comment on the social post and give it to us. But here's my example. So you can use this as a reference when somebody says, hey, Johnny, tell me about yourself. Well, I grew up in Oklahoma and went to a liberal arts school there and majored in communications. I spent my early career in retail management and eventually advanced into an executive position with a few CPG companies. I ended up running a couple of $40 million companies as a president and CEO before starting recruiting firm Riderflex, which I've been the CEO of now for 7 years. I have 4 grown children, and I live in northern Colorado with my beautiful wife, Kim, who I've been married to for 21 years. And my favorite hobby, is camping in the mountains. At this time, I'm very interested in your company, XYZ, because of XYZ, and feel very confident I'm a great fit because of XYZ. Boom, there you go. There is your perfect example of how to answer the question, tell me about yourself. Now, the point of the podcast is this. Most of you don't practice that, right? You don't have to have it completely memorized, but really, that is the most important question you can prepare for. Trust me, you want to have a nice opening that tells the interviewer something about you personally and professionally, okay? Just a nice general overview. Don't get too granular and don't ramble on forever. Stop after a minute or so. I don't know how long that was, but stop so that they can ask the next question. But practice your speech around tell me about yourself, and trust me, you will give yourself a much better chance of landing the job. And there is your Riderflex tip of the day. The Riderflex podcast features entrepreneurs, business executives, and the stories behind how they got there, as well as daily tips on career advice and job interviews. Our show can be heard just about anywhere these days, but you can visit riderflex.com and click on the podcast page to hear all the previous episodes and learn more about the recruiting and consulting services we provide. Contact us at the email address info@riderflex.com or 888-964-5876. Thanks so much for listening, and if you enjoy our show, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like the episodes.